Let's pump up the live. Let's get the lights going. Let's get the shares going. Miss Sue, I'm doing good. How are you? CL Polk, Lisa, Lydia, good to see you all. Early in, we've got Vamp. Vamp, age and background, please.
Hey, brother.
Oh, yeah.
How you
Age and
doing?
background, please.
Sorry, pronouns?
Yep, and age.
I'm 24, he or him. What about you?
Same. Which prompt do you disagree with?
I disagree, honestly, with men telling their partners what to wear, upholding rape culture.
TikTok for any language, grape culture. Sure, okay. Can you give me an example or a reason why you feel the need to tell your partner what to wear?
Respect
Respect of what? What's disrespectful?
of the relationship. It enables opportunities for men to, it's basically kind of signals that she's maybe open for men hitting on her.
Okay, so essentially what you've done is you've just basically said that this is how men view women. So you're saying that men objectify women. Because if that's how you think men think, then you're essentially thinking the same thing.
I think in a way, yeah. In a way, yeah.
So you're basically admitting to objectifying women. That's misogynistic. Clothing doesn't determine someone's availability. So
Wait, no. That's not really what I said. I said that I think it. Hold on. Let me rephrase that. Hold on.
please do.
So when you're inside a relationship, there is certain things like you don't do out of respect to your partner. Maybe respect to the relationship more even.
Is that something you agreed upon before entering the relationship with her, that she would wear specific type of clothing?
No.
Okay, so now you're expecting in a relationship for what, you to tell her what she can and can't do when the boundaries.
I think that she can put boundaries on me too, on what makes her feel uncomfortable.
You can't put boundaries on other people. You can only put boundaries for yourself. Boundaries are not for other people. That's controlling.
You're right. It's more boundaries of the relationship. Like if you do this, I walk away. Not like.
Sure. So what you're essentially saying is that your relationship doesn't mean that much to you because if she wore certain fabric you didn't like, you'd walk away from her.
It's not that it doesn't mean much to me. It's that I have things that matter to me inside of a relationship, and I cannot be with a woman that doesn't view it the same as me.
Yeah, so again, like I said, your original point was that you think clothing represents something from a woman, and I said to you that's you objectifying women and admitting that men do the same thing. So what you're saying is that you can't be in a relationship with someone because you would be seeing men objectify her based on clothing when men do that regardless of clothing. So you're basically saying you want to be with someone who is okay with you being misogynistic, someone who won't call you out for your behaviors, someone who will be accepting of your controlling behavior.
I think that each side can. Wait, do you not agree with me that there are certain aspects in life in a relationship that a woman expects from a man? Like we're not equal. Every side looks for different things.
So hold on, what you've done there is you've done whataboutism, and you've tried to deflect onto things that you want women to be held accountable for when we're focusing on men's behavior. So that's
I agree. I agree with what you say. It's not that I disagree with it.
But then that's something you need to work on. Like you've just admitted to being misogynistic and objectifying women, and you want to be in a relationship where you can control your partner on what she does and doesn't do. That's quite harmful behaviors to uphold.
Would you agree for a woman to just walk out with bra and underwear to a public location or a bar or something like that?
Sorry, is that what women are doing? Like women are just walking around?
I'm asking if that inside within your relationship, would you be okay with that?
Is that what she wants to do?
Maybe, yeah.
Sure, then okay, that's up to her, isn't it?
Okay, well, I disagree with that. I think in a relationship there is respect.
Yeah, clothing is not a sign of respect or disrespect.
It shows that you're not really loyal.
No, it doesn't. Loyal would show whether or not you're cheating. Have they cheated on you by walking outside in a bra and knickers or bikini? Like, are you saying then that she couldn't wear that if she went to the beach?
No.
Oh, so now location matters.
I think location definitely has something to do with it.
Why? Men are going to be looking at women on the beach, aren't they? Because you admitted
they are going to be looking at her. You're not wrong.
Pardon?
You're not wrong. They are going to be looking at her on the beach.
So are you not going to tell her to put more clothing on at the beach because men are going to be doing the same thing there as they would somewhere else?
Got me.
Sorry?
You got me on this one.
It's not a debate. It's just trying to like show that men's like logic is not consistent when it comes to these conversations.
I'm trying to educate myself.
No, I appreciate that, and I'm trying to be respectful here as well. But what I'm saying is that this is what men do: is that they, in their own mind, know that men objectify women, and they're doing it themselves when they uphold the same belief system. They're basically saying, I would look at a woman who is wearing certain clothing and think what you thought, which is she's maybe, signaling that she's available or single, or that that's disrespectful to a partner. It's not. It's just that men have always objectified women's bodies.
Hmm.
So what I ask is this, right? Do you think that it's okay for men to walk around with their shirts off? Because we see that all the time.
I think that depends on the location. Yeah, if it's just right out in public, no.
But you see men walking down the street with their shirts off all the time.
I don't think that's right.
Why though?
Because I think that's more of not a gender specific. I think it's just a generic law that just appropriate clothing around public places, right?
What's inappropriate with this part of a man's body, similar to a woman's? There's nothing inappropriate about it unless you view it as something schmexual and you schmexualize body parts. That's the point. So if you
You're
are
right.
schmexualizing and objectifying, that's why you're led to believe that's a problem, and that's why you can or can't do it. The difference is there is a double standard, which is that men can have their shirts off and women can't. Something would actually happen to women; they'd get arrested or something. So again, even that in itself is not consistent.
You're right about that. You're right for sure.
Okay. Was there any other prompts that you disagreed with?
Um, can you explain to me exactly what you mean by all men until no men?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of did it for me without realizing, so I'll use that as an example. You essentially said that, you think men objectify women. All right. The reason you don't want your partner wearing certain clothing is because not every man out there will objectify your partner based on the choice of clothing she has, but enough of them will. So essentially, it's the same thing. All men until no men. You don't know which ones. You don't know which ones are going to approach her. You don't know which ones might harm her. You don't know which ones might follow her and ask her for her number. But you feel uncomfortable knowing that it could happen.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
Sure. So you also wouldn't be able to identify which men are going to do it. So when you say you're scared, you are scared of every man that would be around your partner because you don't know which men would or wouldn't behave that way.
Right.
You're not going to trust any of them, are you?
Yeah.
So that's all men until no men. Until no men are behaving that way towards women, you are going to be wary of all men. That's exactly what women are saying with all men until no men. The difference is that it's not just limited to the choice of clothing that women wear, it's also disproportionate violence. Men cause more disproportionate violence towards women, girls, and femme-presenting people. And so that harm is something that is systemic and something where women are not going to trust men willingly. They're going to be wary and cautious of all men. Does it mean every man is dangerous? No. But women are not going to take the risk that they'll trust this random man and not trust that random man.
Yeah, you're right about that. So, okay, one last thing, and I won't hold up too much of your time. The friend zone doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So, which specific intention do you mean by saying this? Because it could be.
If you think of any dynamic between two people where you think a friend zone applies, I'm saying that there is a behavior or an emotion that does exist, and that's what needs to be challenged. If someone chooses to say they are now in a friend zone, they've made that up for themselves. There is no such thing. They just made it up, and they're avoiding the accountability of dealing with what needs to be dealt with.
Okay, sorry. I agree with you on this one. Sorry. Yeah, I have nothing else to add here. So thank you for your time, though. I appreciate it.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
You too.
What did they make up? They made up the friend zone. There's no such thing as the friend zone. You can never change age and pronouns, please.
Me?
Okay, no worries. Amin, age and pronouns, please.
Hello, I'm 28 and he, him.
Thank you. Which prompt do you disagree with?
I disagree with the third one. Men are not the protectors and providers. Can I just say, first of all, Lex, you're very good at explaining the points, and you're a great debater. Keep this up, even though I disagree.
This isn't debate. This is an educational live. But I appreciate the comments nonetheless. Can you give me an example of how men are protectors, please, today?
Well, I think that there is a general expectation for men to be the protectors of women and children. And I think that women who women who are straight, they one of the qualities that they look for in a man is for him to be a protector
That's
and
not
provider.
true. Well, that's not true because we're seeing divorce rates increasing, birth rates declining, and women choosing to stay away from men more than gravitating towards them in relationship dynamics. And if we're to look at the reasons why, it's because women are not looking for those things anymore because they know that men are not those things. Men are not protectors, men are not providers. A man coming up to a woman and saying, "Hey, I'm a protector," is not going to be proof that they are a protector. It's just words at this point. So I'm still kind of looking for ways, because the first question I asked you was, can you explain to me how men are protectors today? And you've just gone on to how women are choosing men that are. You haven't really given me an example of how they are.
Well, how they are is they are men are generally we're kind of wired to see threats from other men around us.
Can you explain? Can you explain to me the science behind men being wired to be wary of threats, but women aren't? What's the gene? What's the biology? Like, what's the proof of that? Because that just sounds like a random claim.
It's not to say women aren't. It's just that in general, men seek to protect their women, and there is an expectation from everyone that a man will stand in between a perpetrator and his woman, be it the woman he's with, be it his mother, daughter, wife, anything. And that's an expectation that people have.
That's patriarchal conditioning.
Well, don't you think that men, generally being the more physically capable, they should be the protectors of women?
No, I don't think men should be striving towards being protectors, because the only way that men can fulfill the role of being a protector is if men out there are causing harm. So trying to strive for something that would depend on other men doing something horrible in the first place, for me, is not something that men should be working towards. I don't see how that is in any way a logical reason for men to strive towards something in their life. We also have to recognize that protection is not limited to physicality. We also have to recognize that, arguably women have more of the protective roles in society than men do. And through those roles, women are not causing the problems to then be depended on to provide that protection, whereas men are. So I still need an example, because all you've given me as an example is another hypothetical of a man causing harm to a man and woman and a man stepping in front, which is something that's just not happening every day for every individual man. And if you're saying that it does happen a lot, then you're basically admitting to men causing harm that many times, because it would be men that are starting that, not women.
Right. So because there are a selection of men who are choosing to do horrific acts, I guess I would say that it's not realistic for there to be no evil in this world. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think we live in a very brutal world where people will take advantage when they can.
When you say people, are you referring to men or women or both or neither?
Okay, for this discussion, let's focus on men.
Well, it's not even for this discussion. We're talking about generic harm. So if we're talking about generic harm in the examples you're giving, I think it's a bit disingenuous to not actually say men, because that almost makes it seem like there are harmful people in the world. Yeah, but why are we avoiding accountability in this conversation of men? Put a label to it based on statistics.
Okay, well, yeah.
That's what it is, right? If you're talking about all these hypotheticals and examples, men will talk about the military, men will talk about the police force, men will talk about someone burgling your house, men will talk about someone stealing something off you, men will talk about someone starting a fight on you, right? Every time they say if someone does this, they always leave out the golden part, which is in all of those scenarios, statistically, it will more likely be a man that's doing it.
Yeah, so let's evil men, right? I think that to there isn't going to be a reality where evil men do not exist. I think that it is then the responsibility of men to fulfill their natural roles as
Natural,
protectors of women.
not natural. You're not
And
naturally.
women protect women too. I mean,
Hold
sorry,
on.
women protect men too in other
I
ways.
mean, you're not naturally a protector. There's nothing natural about it. It's learned behavior. It's social conditioning. It's not
Do you
something.
think when a married couple get pregnant, isn't there the expectation of the man to make sure that his woman is provided for, and the child, while she is not able to work herself, or even if she wants to be a housewife or something?
So what happens if you have a relationship with two women and one of them's pregnant?
Well, then men are not in the discussion, right?
So then it's not limited to men. So I mean, it's not exclusive to men then, is it?
No, it's not exclusive to men, right? But generally, generally
But that's what I'm saying, right? Is like,
we're talking about.
okay, let me try and rephrase this, right? You said like evil men. What kind of behaviors constitutes of evil men versus bad men or not very nice men, right? So let's say that a man is out with his friends and they're walking down the street and there's a woman across the road and he catcalls her. Is he an evil man?
I don't know if I would call him evil. Maybe I would.
You're talking here about evil men, and I'm just asking: is that an evil man?
So he shouts out something to her.
Yep, he catcalls her from across the street. Right? I'm not gonna say what he says, but let's say it's a derogative term, catcalling. Is he an evil man?
I would say this is weird behavior. This is strange behavior.
That's ableist language. It's not weird behavior. It's misogynistic behavior. Again, let's label it what it is, right? It's misogynistic.
Okay.
But I'm asking, is it evil? Like, is he evil for doing that? Is he an evil man? I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just asking
No.
about your,
No, not necessarily, no.
Perfect. So does that mean then once he's done that and he walks off with his mates and all the other mates laugh with him and joke and say, oh, that was so funny. Did you see the way she reacted? Blah, blah, blah. Are his mates evil?
No, not necessarily, no.
Okay. So this is the problem that I have with these kind of descriptors that are being used now for, let's say, men, which is when men talk about men being evil, they're looking for probably the most horrific forms of misogyny that might exist to be able to give them that label, right? And what men don't realize is all misogynistic behaviors are a part of grape culture. So men that catcall, men that have locker room banter, men that share unsolicited pictures, men that stalk, men that follow, all of these behaviors, right? Men like yourself and others will not describe them as evil men. And the problem
I would. For some of those, I would definitely. Sharing unsolicited pictures, that's very evil. And what else did you say?
Following, like harassing, following.
Yeah, following, stalking, harassing, of course, right. That's evil, yeah.
If you look at the grape pyramid, which shows all the different behaviors from the bottom right to the top, men don't just decide one day I'm going to start in the middle and stalk someone. It starts off with misogynistic behaviors that then lead to potentially worse outcomes. Not always, because some at the bottom can still be very traumatic for women, but the point being made is the pyramid obviously looks like it gets worse the higher up it goes. And the problem with that is these behaviors that get enabled, a lot of men who, I suppose, are surrounded by that enabling, who have that kind of confirmation that behaving like this is okay or acceptable, will then push boundaries and push their luck and try something different. And that behavior eventually gets a little bit worse. And eventually they become an evil man in your eyes. My point is those behaviors have already started. And by the time you've labeled them evil, it was already there. It was already there on a level where you didn't think it was enough to maybe warrant or call out or do something about, because for you it hadn't reached evilness yet. So those men that are laughing, the man that did it, they're all part of the problem. They're all an issue. They've all got unpacking to do. But that is still part of why we say, all men until no men. So I look at that and think to myself, does that mean that they are ever going to be called a protector? similar to when you have a police officer. If a police officer is off duty and he catcalls a woman, right? Is he a protector?
No.
Okay. So if we can recognize that catcalling in itself doesn't make you a protector, then we have to look at the amount of men out there that are engaging these behaviors that will never go down as a statistic. They will never get arrested. They will never get, a conviction for something like that. But it exists. And those numbers start to increase. So that's why I'm looking at every time these behaviors happen, that's one less quote unquote protector in the world. And I'm just saying men are not fulfilling that role. And they shouldn't be anyway. They just shouldn't be behaving like that at all. So for me, I don't think men have ever been protectors. They've never been providers. And I'm still struggling to understand what they have protected and provided. The only example you've given is when their partner is pregnant and they have to then provide. And it's like, well, that's just supporting your partner during a very, very difficult, potentially traumatic time, like anyone would do. It's not something exclusive to men.
Yeah. Well, no, definitely I agree with you with the catcalling thing. I think a man who's engaging in those kind of behaviors, that is a sign that they might be onto doing more. I agree with you with that. I just think that women generally want a man who earns the same as them or more. Women generally want a man who's taller, who's stronger. What's that?
This is just red pill rhetoric. This is
I
just
mean-
what red pill spouts. It's nonsense. The most swiped on Badoo was 5'8". That's one example of a dating app. 5'8". That's not women claiming that they want someone much taller than them. On average,
Well, that's just the average height, right? That's just
on average, men are taller than women. On average,
yeah.
So
5 foot is just the average height, no?
What I'm saying is, if a woman ends up being with a man that's taller than her, it's not necessarily because she was searching for that. A lot of the time, it's likely to happen anyway. Again, not always, but the majority of the time, you are going to have men that are taller. But in the same breath, that would be an example of internalized misogyny. That's conditioning of patriarchy. Would you describe yourself as a protector?
Yes.
How so?
I'm ready to stand between any attacker or anything, and my woman. I make sure that I take the responsibility to make sure that the women in my life are safe. And
But this rhetoric that you're bringing online is not protecting those women. This rhetoric that you've brought onto this online space right now is actually pushing away that women are behaving in a certain way that is a problem. That women want someone taller, women want someone that's got more or the same money as them. Women want men to be protectors and providers. You're upholding the gender roles and misogyny that was being created by men and pushed onto both men and women to believe in. That's not protecting women by trying to reinforce the idea that this is what women want and are looking for. What you're doing is sending out a message to any men listening here thinking, I wonder what Amin's got to say. When you say that and these men go, oh yeah, that's all women care about. That's literally just what women want. That narrative from the red pill is what's turned into a lot of hate from men towards women. More misogyny created towards women. Because if those men, for example, don't reach a so-called height requirement, guess what? We're going to now have a go at women for that. You know, they're going to take it out on women because they're going to say, you don't want to be with me because I'm not tall. And because people like yourself uphold the belief that that's what women want, when you say that out loud to everyone, that's not protecting those women.
Okay, well, I was just talking about like statistics, like in general, right? I'm certainly not a red pillar myself. I think that. Don't you think that given that men are the stronger or able in general, that they should assume the responsibility to protect those around them?
No, they should just not be harming in the first place. You're still
Right,
talking
but
about,
how do we do that?
we educate. We educate from early on. We look at ways that men and fathers, are parenting. But when you
I'm-
push, sorry, go on.
Yep. Sorry, yeah. No, I'm making the claim that although what you're doing here to educate men is good, and I hope it does educate men on behaviors that they do towards women which are harmful, I don't believe that that's going to be enough,
Well,
right?
I agree
And
that by
so,
itself is not going to be enough. Absolutely.
well, just in general, kind of, everybody's saying all men until no men, and kind of telling men, oh, you need to do better. Well, there are still going to be men who are going to act in evil ways, and
Mm.
so if as a man, generally we feel that we have to assume responsibility to protect our women from those people as well.
I don't.
We can't control that. We can't control. We can only control what we do, right?
Your view is a defeatist view, but I'm going to bring Kitty in to chime into the conversation. Hi, Kitty.
Hi, Kitty 42, she, her. It's great, I mean, that you've mentioned education, that you believe in education, and particularly, in this space as well. Um, um, I've had some information passed on to me, and obviously I'm a mod in this space, so I just want to clarify a couple of things. Do you go into other TikTok lives on similar themes about anti-misogyny?
Yeah, I'll go on other lives. I'll go on lives to do with religion, to do with this topic,
Um,
of course. Why not?
because no, that's great. I have had information passed on that you've been recently going into women and femme-presenting people's lives on similar topics and been trolling.
I mean, does it seem like I'm trolling now? Like,
Not
because this is
here.
what I normally do. This is
Yeah,
what I
like
usually do: is have a discussion.
you have been respectful here, and that has been noticed, particularly by some of the women who have spotted you in other lives that are hosted by women and femme-presenting people, and they've highlighted this is not how you typically respond in those spaces, in contrast to here, where here you have been very respectful. So I just find that interesting, given you're saying about men being protectors, you believe in education, and there's other educational spaces, which we know and you've highlighted, that are hosted by women and femme-presenting people, but people have observed you not being particularly respectful or trolling those spaces.
I'm confident that I haven't been trolling anywhere. If you want to kind of tell everyone here how I've been trolling, please go ahead. But I'm confident that I'm not a troll. I listen to people and then respond.
Okay, it's more just a point, perhaps to consider and reflect upon, moving forward, perhaps about how you're being here, because it is quite common. We do get men coming into this live and being very respectful, but going into women and femme-presenting people's lives and not offering that same level of respect, or engaging in the discussion in the same ways. So I'm here to safeguard this space, that's all. Someone brought information to me. I'm simply highlighting it, that's all. So maybe something to reflect on when you do go into those other spaces. And this is not towards you, Amin. No ableism, please. Wildcard, thank you. I will start calling you all out. And can we just lead with respect as well? And women mods are very much welcome up here. And if you don't like that, you're welcome to move on. Anyone in chat, this is how we run the space here. Anyway, I just want to highlight that, Amin. That was it, just something perhaps to reflect upon. I'll drop, and you can continue the discussion with Lex.
Thank you so much, Kitty. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
So, Amin, yes. So, in regards to protectors, again, I still don't see how men are doing that on a daily basis, because the examples that you keep giving are hypotheticals.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about then the most most firefighters being men, most policemen being men. I'm sure you've heard. You're ready for everything. You've heard
Oh, I
everything.
mean, I love it. I love it because, like, it's not to be disrespectful. It's just like, I'm not saying you're doing this, right? But a lot of men always seem to think that this is a logical versus emotional thing, right? They go down the gender stereotype of men are logical, women are emotional. And a lot of men don't realize that actually a lot of the points they bring are very illogical. And it's not to be disrespectful, it's just recognizing that men are so ingrained to center themselves that they don't look at the bigger picture, patriarchy, right? Because it doesn't directly affect them in a systemic way. It does harm them, but not in the way that like it harms women, girls, and femme-presented people. So, are you in the UK or are you in America or somewhere else?
I'm in the UK, yes.
Okay, me too, right? So, in the UK, I'm also going to help you out and chuck in the military, if that's all right. I'm assuming you think that's a protective role.
Well, I have my own views on that, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go on,
You can
sure.
say if you want, but for the purposes of it, the military, 0.23% of men in the UK are in the military. 0.46% of men in the UK are in the police force. Less than that are in the firefighters. So less than 1% of men in the UK are in those three protective roles in society. So I don't think it's fair to say that that is a representation of the other 99% of men to call them protectors. Now, earlier I made the point to you that, again, the roles that men have require men to cause harm for these so-called protectors to be called upon. I.e., you call the police, most of the time it's going to be a man that's causing a problem. By that point, the harm has already happened. So actually the police are reactive and can potentially prevent further harm, sure, but ultimately a lot of the time the damage is already done. The military, same thing. If men are starting wars, because it's definitely not women, then having a defense as men, of course, like we can see why that would be needed, but it's only needed on the basis that men out there are choosing to abuse their power as men. Again, men's behavior. So when I said to you as well that, you know, women have more protective roles in society, what my question to you would be is, do you think that working with vulnerable people is a form of protection?
Is working with vulnerable people a form of protection?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I agree. So we would be looking at children, we'd be looking at the elderly, potentially those, you know, with mental health issues, disabled people, like loads of different people that might seek or require support, assistance, whatever it might be. Okay? So the point that I'm making here is when you look at the protective roles in society, right, you'd be looking at social workers, mental health practitioners, carers, nannies, teachers, nurses, midwives. The majority of those roles are held by women, and they are all forms of protection.
Right.
Like men like to say, hey, physicality, that's how men protect physically. And it's like, fine, but it's not the only form of protection. So let's also include all forms of protection. So when you branch out to all of the other roles, women make up between 20 and 30%, men make up between 9 and 10. That is statistics that can be looked up. It's not difficult to find. But that's the issue that I have with it, right? And again, I come back to the same point. Women are not harming children to put them in schools to then protect them. Women are not harming the elderly to put them in care homes to then protect them. But men are causing harm to call the police to come and protect, majority of the time, men or women, depending on who's, you know, on the receiving end, but it's men that are causing it. And the same with the military. So yeah, I'm always going to be ready for that one because this is what I mean. Men go to the, like, what they think is the obvious because they just think of physicality.
Yeah, no, I like that point. I do think that there are many places, situations where women are protectors. So when I said earlier that kind of it's a bit like it wouldn't really work to kind of try to educate all men and assume that with your education you're going to get rid of men committing, you know, evil acts. I think that, and you said it's defeatist. That's the defeatist argument. Can you, like, why is it called defeatist?
Because you're essentially saying, like, men are always going to be like this, so we have to accept it, and we have to make men adapt to that to try and sort of prevent it rather than actually going to the root cause and trying to stop it. My perspective is, I've got bookings next month for organizations and potentially schools to go in and deliver workshops to teenagers and people in workplace environments to educate on anti-misogyny. Right? That, in my opinion, is an example of trying to get to the root cause of something early, especially when talking with children, to help them understand behaviors, help them understand how they are upholding harm, to begin early enough for them to not actually hold on to these ingrained beliefs that patriarchy will be conditioning them to believe. That for me is an example of like, not like saying, hey, these boys in school are just going to keep behaving like that, and maybe one day one of them will do something horrific and the others might do something that's not very nice but still harmful, and it's like, we shouldn't have to accept that's how it's going to be. But there's nothing going on in schools, in my opinion, that's really educating boys on the roots of all of these behaviors, and the same goes for parenting, right? Grandfathers who pass down their beliefs from traditional roles to their sons, who now pass it down to their sons, are continuously going to be upholding the same cycle. They're going to be upholding the things that their dads and their dads and their dads taught them, and nothing's changing for men. They're holding on to traditional values, traditional beliefs, traditional ways of boys and men being to be more of a quote unquote man, and that's harming men more in society now than ever. But unfortunately, the cost of that is that's also then harming women and girls. PJ, go away. Seriously. So yeah, I mean, over to you.
Okay, it's nice to hear that you're out here educating men against misogyny and things that they could be doing which they don't even know are harmful to women and women don't like. That's good to hear. My position is that alone is not going to be enough, unfortunately.
I'm not the only one doing it, though. That's the point, right? Like, I'm not the only one doing it. There's many other people who are looking to do it. There's many more, groups of men that are starting to learn, starting to listen, and it's not happening fast enough, but it's starting, it's happening. The issue that we have is that we're fighting against a massive system. And so when you say something like that, it's not enough, I look at that and think to myself, yeah, but you sound like a classic example of someone who wouldn't try to contribute in that way to help. And that's the other reason why it's not enough, is because we need more men to actually care. And when you have that kind of attitude that you're giving at the moment, I'm not saying that you're being disrespectful, but I'm saying that the mindset and belief that you have is kind of like, it's not enough. So whatever, I'll just continue to live my life. That's privilege. That's literally male privilege speaking. You can choose to just switch off and just ignore it and continue to live your life in a way where, as a man, you have privilege, not excluding intersectionality, where you can be experiencing oppression from other, forms of demographics, etc. But as a man, certainly, you can switch off from that because misogyny doesn't directly affect you.
Right. Well, I'm saying that it's not enough, and so that's not the only thing that men should be doing. Like, I believe being part of being a man is to assume responsibility for the protection of those around you, right? And I hear that you're saying that this is like a patriarchal construct, right? This is like a patriarchal belief, but I think that this is just reality. Like, it's just part of being a man. And women protect men. Women protect men in many ways, and but the ways that women protect men and men protect women generally are not the same. Right?
Yeah, but the difference is men are harming. Men are disproportionately harming, and they're upholding it, and it's getting worse. So something has to change. And so what I'm trying to advocate for is for more men to get on board with, advocating for that change, because maybe a lot of men out there would like to have children one day, and those children will be the next generation of what we are leaving them to have in this world when it's, their turn to live their lives as adults and navigate through each generation is so entirely different. We see it through what our parents lived through, what their parents lived through. So again, actually I've just seen someone's comment and I agree. What's sad that you've kind of described as it's being part of a man is ensuring that you protect others because that's, again, the defeatist part of it is you've just basically accepted that there are men out there that will harm, and that's enough for you to just leave it. It's kind of like, well, that's for women to deal with. I'll do my bit in my role. But then if you lived in a world where there was no harm from men, what would your role as a man be then? Because you wouldn't need to be a protector, would you? So what would your role be?
If there was no harm being caused by men, but that's what I'm saying though. This is like fairy tale, right? No disrespect, but
It's hypothetical. It's a hypothetical, which is if you didn't need to or didn't feel you needed to as your role to protect anyone, what would you feel your role would be as a man if protection wasn't one of those things?
well, exactly, right? Like, it's
That's proving my point, right? You say exactly because this is the issue with men. They're so lost with thinking what their role is because they think they need to have a role that they then fall on this idea of my role will be a protector, which means I need men to continue harming for me to fulfill that role. Men are lost with, like, this is what people say when they say male violence benefits men. Literally, because you now feel like you have a role. You feel like you have a purpose. It's to be a protector in a world where it might be needed because of men. That literally, you know? And that's sad that you think your role as a man is dictated by men's violence. That's really sad to hear. Let me bring Staples in. Hi, Staples.
Hello, 44 Sheeha. I was just going to ask Guest a few different ways that he could perhaps envisage protecting women or femme-presenting people in his life. So you obviously have spoken to Lex quite extensively about the violence side of it. If a woman in your life or your workplace was experiencing things like period poverty, would you know how to help them?
period poverty.
Yeah, so obviously as women we need feminine hygiene products and they're taxed, they're quite expensive, they're treated as a luxury item despite the fact they're not. And quite a lot of women and girls can't actually afford it. So there's so many ways you can help. If you would find standing up to your friends too confrontational, if you think that's something that women just have to accept, perhaps there's other ways you can advocate for people in your life, like contributing to advocacy schemes like that, where it helps put things in the workplace or schools for women. Or would you know where to refer a friend to had they been assaulted?
The police. I mean, not immediately, but I'd certainly do the research. And as for
what if they don't want to report to the police? Because obviously, as women and femme-presenting people, a lot of us have been victim blamed by police. Quite often, police themselves have some of the highest self-reported rates of committing DV. So that's not an option for a lot of women or femme-presenting people.
I think that hopefully there are organizations who will make it easier for these women to not stay quiet about their assaults. Because
apologies, I didn't mean to talk over you. Go on.
Well, you're asking me if a woman got essayed and didn't want to talk about it, what would I do?
To the police, crucially, not in general.
Oh, to the police. Okay. Well,
just to help. So basically, there are lots of things you can do. There's things called ISVAs, there's IDVAs, there's independent places to the police that can help people potentially preserve evidence. They can help them get medical treatment. And I guess part of what a lot of people have commented on is the privilege that you have, that you don't know that. It's great that you don't need to know that. A lot of us perhaps didn't know ourselves until it happened to us. But if you know 3 women in your life, you statistically know someone this has happened to. The odds would suggest. So being informed enough to, instead of thinking about, I can be a protector to a woman in a violent potential mugging that might never happen, we statistically know 1 in 3 women are harmed in some way. So there are much more amenable ways that anyone can help, that don't have to be confrontational, that you can help them in that situation. You can refer them to different resources. There's so many things that you can do if you're not, and it's not a criticism to say if you can't stand up to somebody to do it, because I get some situations don't lend themselves to that, but you can't claim to be the protector and then not know the greatest cause of harm to women, and how to help them in that situation is something I'd perhaps reflect upon.
Okay, yeah, thank you. What did you mention that I can refer women to?
So there's several things. So there's an ISVA, which
ISBA.
ISVA,
Okay.
which is an independent sexual advocate, and they basically will signpost you to the right resources. They will also help you should you then decide to go to court and help represent you. There's another version of that called an IDVA, which is more specific to domestic violence. There's also, they have different names in each county that you would live in, but they're generally called a sexual assault referral centre. But you can always look up on NHS's website and pop your postcode in or the victim's general area in, and that will tell you local resources where they can go. They can self-refer. Evidence can be preserved for if they ever want to, but also things like the emergency contraception, prophylactic things like PrEP, so that they're not at risk of certain STIs, other things. And there's things like there's apps where you can document bruises that come out for 6 days afterwards. There's apps where you can document coercion and financial abuse. There's so many things, because these are things that we have to do as women. So it's perhaps giving yourself a 10-minute, the things that we've all learned in these lives, all through each other or sharing. I didn't know about half of these, like some of the different moderators in here have opened my eyes, and we all have our different areas of knowledge. So generally, if you just spent a few minutes a day looking at one website, just like Wikipedia, they have links that then sign you to another website, they sign you to another one, and your knowledge will grow. And even just following a couple of creators like that on here, like Lex, and then you will follow other creators like women and femme presenting ones like Angela, who I think if someone could put them, you will change your For You page and you will see much more advocacy things rather than this is how to be a man, and that doesn't help anybody. That's all I'd say. So,
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I hope that everyone I certainly learned something. I hope that other people did as well about the services you were talking about. Thank you.
And that's fortunately, hopefully, no one will ever have to use them, but they exist for a reason, and it's about being able to help someone in those moments, because those moments can be crucial, and that person might not have the ability to think in those moments or make decisions. So holding their hand and guiding them through it can be enormously helpful, and the best way to emotionally support someone and emotionally protect them.
That's great to know, honestly. Thanks.
Okay, no problem. I'll drop. Thank you.
Thank you, Staples. That was incredible. I'm going to switch up the guest, but thank you for definitely being respectful there as well. So maybe speak to you again sometime.
Thank you. Yeah, you're professional. Nice one. Appreciate
it. Take care. Bye-bye. Huge win in the chat for Staples. That was phenomenal. Even a couple of things there I didn't even know. Brilliant. Amazing. Love that. That's why I love this team. Seriously. Power, age, and pronouns, please. Yep, so friend zone is something men choose to hide behind to avoid being accountable for their behavior. Any dynamic between two people where you think a friend zone exists, I would say there's an emotion or a behavior that does exist that needs to be called out. And men choosing to hide behind the term friend zone is deflective and avoidant from that. Kitty! Excuse me.
Hello. Hello, Kitty42 She/Her. This is upon the request of another mod. There's someone within the community who is not a native English speaker, I should say. So they're wondering if you could take the time just to explain what the friend zone doesn't exist means, if possible, please.
Did you just come off the app? Because I just did that right now.
I have just came off the app. but I didn't know if you explained. I was away looking for resources.
No, that's fine. I don't know whether you heard it or not, but I did just say that right now, so I can repeat it again if the person.
No. If the friend zone has been explained and it doesn't exist, tickety boo. All right, that's fine. Apologies.
No, not at all. I was just like that. There's Lizzie who
Just keeping you in check. That's all. Just.
Thank you for checking.
You're very welcome. Is it Lily? No, I'm joking. Anyway, right. Bye.
What a mod team, seriously. Kay. No, Rosie, men and women can be friends. That would be a friendship. 3, 2, 1. Oh, hello. Kayak. Age and pronouns, please.
34, he, him.
Thank you. Which prompt do you disagree with?
Men telling their partners what to wear are upholding rape culture.
So great culture, TikTok friendly language.
Yeah.
Sure. Can you give me an example or a reason as to why you would feel the need to tell your partner what she should wear?
It's like we're all different, right? And when you're in a relationship with someone, I feel like if you're uncomfortable with something, you should be able to express it. It's not about controlling or being coercive. It's just expressing.
Sure. So let's role play that, right? So one person expresses, "Listen, I feel uncomfortable with the clothing you've chosen to wear," and your partner goes, "I hear that, and I appreciate you telling me how you feel. However, I'm going to wear this because it's my choice." And arguably that's, your feelings to kind of unpack because it's your discomfort that's, an issue there. Now what?
What she says that she wants to wear what I've so she says she wants to wear it even though I've told her that I feel uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, because your feelings of discomfort doesn't mean she should have to change what she's wearing to facilitate that, right? Like if you are genuinely feeling uncomfortable, we need to explore the reasons why. So why would you feel uncomfortable about her wearing a certain type of clothing? What is it that you think is going to happen?
It's not. I'm just talking about generally because there are people that would express, if they feel uncomfortable, and it happens vice versa as well, innit? Like for instance, I've been in a situation where, say for instance, like I've got a six pack, I've got a nice body, so if I go out without my top, she may express to me like she don't want me like to go out like that because she feel like I'm drawing like women's attention. Is that what is that then? What would you call that? Is she not allowed to express that she's uncomfortable with me going out?
She's allowed to express it, but that's her insecurity. That's something she would need to unpack. So it's the same for you towards her. What's the reason that you think that her wearing whatever she chooses to wear is an issue?
Why do you say it's insecurity?
Because does she trust you?
It depends where we are in a relationship.
Well, if you're in a relationship, would you not get into a relationship with someone you trust on some level?
Yeah, but it depends where. If you just start a relationship with someone, that there's bridges, there's building to do. So it depends where you are. If it's my wife, then yeah, I would say I would trust her. But other than that, like if I'm beginning in a relationship with someone, this is where we're getting to know each other, our preferences and our likes and our dislikes, right? So if she expresses something to me, is like that's where we're getting to see if we're compatible. Am I able to make this sacrifice, like in order to make her happy?
We shouldn't have to sacrifice something that isn't really an issue in the first place. So again, you still haven't answered my question, which is, what's the reason you would feel uncomfortable?
I'm not talking. That's what I answered it. I said I'm talking about generally because there are men who would express those feelings, and there are women who would express.
Hold on, you're kind of pivoting a little bit. You're in a relationship with a woman. Mm-hmm. She's wearing something and she's going to go out, and you feel uncomfortable. That scenario, I'm going to ask you why.
I don't know. It's too revealing. Okay, let's go with it. Okay. It's too revealing. Yeah.
So too revealing in the sense that what's going to happen? Like, why is that an issue? Because when you say too revealing, that's only because men schmexualize women's bodies. right?
Mhm.
It's like this idea of too revealing, as in like things or body parts should be covered up, is only because they've been schmectralized in the first place.
Sometimes they're representative. Your woman is a representative of you as well, innit? Do you understand? Maybe if you're a man who dresses modest, maybe you would want a woman who dresses modest. It might not just be because of a man sexualizing her. It could be because you would want
Not a
that we are both. So you were saying a husband and a wife are not representatives of each other.
No, you're your own individual people. Like, you're not a representation of each other. Your relationship is your relationship. Like, if you trust your partner, if you love your partner, if you accept your partner, doesn't matter. Like you're with each other for a reason. It's not to do with anyone else. It's no one else's business.
Yeah,
So
but
if your partner goes out wearing something that you think is quote unquote revealing, again, why is it that the only thing you're worried about is your supposed image? Because if you're trying to talk about representation, you're basically saying that you feel your image is going to be affected with her doing that. It's not even like that's again.
so you feel like a CEO. You feel like a CEO of a business would say for instance would go to a would go to a meeting with other CEOs, like, and say for instance he brought his wife along and she was there revealing her clothes. It's still, that's what I'm trying to say. It's a representative of who you are as well as a person.
Saying, hold on, are you saying at a meeting that there's going to be men there schmectralizing her for wearing potentially what you would call revealing clothes? Or would people not be judging because people don't do that?
It's not about her revealing, because there are places where
What's it about then? If it's not
It's
about her
about-
revealing clothes, what's it about?
it's about who you are as a person. That's why I said a
So who is she as a
CEO.
person?
A CEO. If he's going to meet other CEOs and he brings
Who is
his
she
wife
as a
along.
person? Who describe who she is as a person for supposedly wearing revealing clothes?
Now you're wavering, bro. Let me get my point across.
You're joking.
No, let me.
You've
No, let me
deflected
get my
from
point.
every. Hold on. You've deflected from every question
I
I've
haven't
asked.
deflected. I haven't.
You have. You have. I asked you why it bothers you if your partner wears revealing clothes. Your response was, wait. If she's a CEO of a company, and I'm like, I didn't ask that. I asked you why it bothers you. You didn't answer it. You then said she's a representation of you. If you're not even there when she goes out, how are you being represented or misrepresented? It doesn't. You're not even there.
If that's my wife, this is what I'm trying to say. Okay, we come from different cultures, yeah. So I can see where if that's my wife and she goes out and she's revealing, and my mom or my auntie sees her from where I'm from, she's representing me. I'll get a phone call to say like, why is your wife's why is her boobs out, or why is her like why is her bum out? Like, so she is. This is what I'm trying to say. You might not understand that.
Hold on. So again, your family are going to be calling you up saying that your wife's got parts of her bum out.
Yeah, if my mom,
business?
yeah, definitely 100.
Why is it their business? It's not their relationship.
No, because this is why I'm saying you don't understand. You don't understand why I'm saying she's a representative of you, because we're from different cultures.
But hold on, regardless of culture, misogyny is not cultural. Misogyny is amongst men.
Is
Objectifying,
misogyny?
yes, it is misogyny, because you're just literally you're backing up the fact that there are men out there that's going to objectify her based on schmectralizing her body.
I just said my mom. You're talking about other men.
Yeah, women can also have internalized misogyny. That's like, women aren't immune to that. That's not removed from anything. You also gave an example at the start of a CEO meeting where there would likely be men and women there.
I wasn't even talking about men and women. I'm talking about a CEO goes a CEO goes to a meeting with other CEOs. There is
There
a
would be men
specific
and women there, right?
there is a specific way that he would want his wife to dress. Yes or no?
Ah, he wants his wife to dress. There we go.
Yes or no? But yes or no? So what, can she go to that meeting with batty riders? Is that what you're telling me?
Whoa.
No, but that's what.
Enough. That's enough. I'm gonna cut in because I've listened to enough, and you've pivoted so many times on the subject. 29, he, him. there are a couple of points that I want to address before I get into my main point of this. During your makeshift scenario whereby there's a CEO party where there's a bunch of CEOs, there is likely a code of a dress code that everyone there is going to be trying to adhere to. Whether or not your wife decides that she wants to wear a dress that is more revealing is completely up to her. But the reality is that her wearing that would not then show up to a CEO that, hey, your wife is dressed like this, therefore we're going to assume you're like this. That's not the way that works, actually. In fact, in most scenarios, when partners of CEOs get dressed up and are the set, most CEOs are looking for their partner to be the center of attention. In fact, because it's a power play. But what I'm going to say to you here is that just because you've invented this scenario whereby you think that in the CEO party, the wife dressing a certain way is going to look bad on the husband somehow, doesn't mean it's actually true. That is just the way that men in society has conditioned you as a man to think that that's what's going to happen when the opposite is actually true. No, and if it's not opposite, if it's not true, if people are not thinking that, the problem is with them, not the woman making a dress.
Because what are you talking about? You
don't
just
interrupt me. Don't interrupt me because I'm a mod. I have powers. Don't interrupt me. I'm still talking.
Oh my god.
No, you're saying, "Oh my god," but I'm like it. It's the problem is on society. The reality is that men like you have overtly sexualized a woman's body. Her bum is for your pleasure. Her boobs is for your pleasure. And so seeing it means that she's more risky or more promiscuous. And the reality is they are just body parts. If we as men stop sexualizing those body parts, we would not be having this conversation because a woman would be allowed to get up and go and be topless and be braless, and no one would say anything. But because society has sexualized it, this is why we have this issue. So that's part one. That's part one. I'm not done talking. I said I've got quite a few things to. I said I've got quite a few things to explain. You can respond afterwards. You can respond. You can respond afterwards.
You're not a whole monologue, bro.
I'm on a whole monologue. I'm on a monologue because I'm allowed to do that, dude. You're still talking. You're waiting. We're waiting. We'll wait for you to finish, man. I'll treat you like one of the children that I teach with. I'll treat you like that. I'll wait for you to finish. Right, you've been muted.
So drop me, man, because like this.
See, and this is what we have here. This is what we have here. He doesn't get his way. Men get up here. They don't get their way. They don't get their way, and they're like, "You might as well drop me, man. You might as well drop me."
No, because you're shouting. You're shouting, and
dude,
you made one point. You made your point.
I'm not shouting. I'm not shouting. But I have to talk over you because you're interrupting. You're interrupting.
You made your point. Can I read?
No, I haven't. I haven't finished speaking. You're interrupting me, and we're still talking about it. So, are you going to let me finish? Is that what? Because if you're going to come off mute, there's no point in me starting to talk. Hello? Are you going to let me finish? Yeah, because I'm not going to start talking if you're going to interrupt me.
I said go on, and I went on mute. Like go on.
Right. Your next point in regards to this culture that we survive. Honestly, if you cannot take your partner around your family without them judging her based on her clothes, your family have the problem. This idea that your culture somehow means that your woman is a representative of you and that your family will be calling you if your woman was dressed a certain type of way, that sounds like your family has a problem with misogyny. That's what that sounds like. Because where I'm from, with my friends, my family, with my black family, with my Caribbean family, with my black British family, with my African family, we don't run them things there. We don't. When someone's partner shows up, we treat them with honesty and respect, and as long as they do the same, there is no issue. Wear what you want, wear what you're comfortable in. The problem is that, like I've said, we sexualize women's bodies. Okay, from a young age, the daughters in our families, in black history, in black families, have been told to cover up because Uncle so and so's coming, cover up because cousin so and so's coming. That is predatory behavior. That is the behavior of people who are trying to cover up predators. Nowhere, in no way, shape, or form should the way a woman's dressed tell you. It wouldn't tell you anything factual about her. Just that she likes to wear clothes that show off her body. That is the only thing that I will tell you. You don't know anything else about the woman. All it is that she's shown up and she's wearing a dress. Maybe your mum and your auntie wouldn't wear it. Maybe your sisters wouldn't wear it. But you're not dating your sister. You're not dating your mum or your auntie. So, if truthfully you're out there seeking women to replicate your family members, that's a whole other conversation you need to be having. A real other conversation that you need to be having. But if that's the conversation you're going to be having, leave other women out of it. That's for you to unpack. Because where I come from and the way that I'm trying to live, my partner is their own person. Our relationship is ours. And the way we carry on, whether we're together or not, is independent of us. Sure, we should consider each other's feelings like around certain actions, but that certain actions is not part of what should we be wearing or what should we be doing. If my partner wants to go out clubbing, go out clubbing. Heck, I'll go out clubbing too. Maybe we'll see each other. If you want to go out partying and drinking and there's other guys there, heck, go out, go have fun. Let me know when you're safe somewhere. Let me know if you change locations so I know if I have to come and collect you. Have fun. Oh, you're wearing that dress. Babe, that dress is nice, but you could do better. You've got a banging dress in that cupboard. Go wear that. Lace that up. Why is it that men like you get on the internet and are out here trying to dictate what what women should wear, and also this idea that you're perpetuating that it happens the other way around? Women may talk about how their feelings are when a man with a 6-pack abs is getting topless on the street, but the reality is men aren't being unalived for it. Men ain't being assaulted for it. Men ain't being abused for it. Men aren't being attacked in their own homes for it. So when we are having these discussions, when we are talking about the violence against women and girls, let's not pretend like it's equal both ways. Let's not do that. Because if you want to get into statistics about who's actually doing the harming and what it's like for the people that are on opposite end of men's fists, we can get into that conversation, but I don't think you want to do that. So when we're talking about the misogyny that men are perpetuating, the harm against women and girls, stop both siding it, because it doesn't change the fact that it's still misogynistic as fuck. And with that, I will shut up. Now, speak about. And also, before you do speak, let it be known, I will hold your feet to the flames. If you start pivoting from the conversation that's being had in order to speak, I will interrupt you. I have that power. If you start spewing out misinformation, I have that power. If you spew out microaggressions and any form of abuse, I will stop you because I have that power. Now, respond to what I said.
We're talking about controlling. We're talking about controlling. You're here talking to me about how you're gonna abuse your mod power, and
it's not abuse. It's not okay. You're already pivoting from the conversation. It's not abusing my mod power. It's the power that I have.
It's
about the power that I have.
You're here talking about because you have the power. Because you have the power, you're gonna mute me,
guys. I swear, I just said not to pivot off it, and I'm not abusing my mod power. I'm using them.
No, you are abusing my power.
Dude,
and we're here talking.
You have like 10 seconds.
You're trying to tell me about
10 seconds.
You have Kayak. Can you just please respond to the points that Dorian has made?
Thank you.
This is waving. All the shouting is just. Yeah.
Stop with the microaggressions. Stop with the microaggressions. Just answer the question. Just respond to what I said.
Number one. Okay, let's go back to what we're talking about in terms of like dress code. Yeah. If we talk about Okay, say for instance, prostitutes, they would wear a
Whoa,
oh,
we are not shaming sex workers in this build in here. That's not what we're
I'm
doing.
talking about a dress. Who's shaming? I'm talking about a dress code.
Why are we talking
Can
about
I
prostitutes
finish?
when we're talking about a dress code for a CEO function? Why is that
Are you gonna let
even
me
in your
finish?
mouth?
Are you gonna let me finish?
No, you've got to one
Nah,
you
bro. Forget this conversation, man. You're on some
okay,
double
bye.
standard flex, man.
Bye. Okay.
Why don't you just drop? I weren't talking to you though. This is not your live. I didn't click on your live.
Bless you. Oh, bless you.
I did not click on your live.
Dude, no one expected you, but I got brought up here for a reason.
Listen,
I got brought up here for a
if
reason.
you were the host, cool.
I got brought up here for a reason. I got brought up here for a reason.
And you came up here, you're
And
shouting.
you're still not. Hello.
Listen,
Can you actually respond to the points that I'm saying? Stop shaming sex workers. Stop shaming sex workers and actually respond to the point that I'm talking about.
Who's shaming them?
You don't. If you don't understand, dude, you've got like 10 seconds.
How did I shame them? No, but tell me how I shamed them.
You've got like 10 seconds. Just listen to what I said and respond to what I've said. That's it. Respond or be done with it. Decide.
Look at him. Look at his controlling. You do what you're doing, man. You're a joker,
dude. Just respond.
But yeah, so SMEX workers would wear a particular dress code. Like they'll have their dress code. Is it all right for that CEO's wife to wear what they would wear? That's the question I throw to you. Is that okay?
Sorry, pause.
Wait.
Do you think all SMEX workers dress the same?
I'm asked. Well, if you're a SMEX worker on the street, you're not gonna have a blazer on, are you? Like this is what I'm trying to say.
Do you think that all SMEX
workers wear blazers on the street? Yes or no?
You're not listening.
Can we just wait? Because I think Kitty wants to chime in for a second.
Yeah.
So is it all right? Is it all right?
Everyone, please, quiet just for a moment. Everyone, just take a moment, please. Kitty 42, she, her. What we're not going to do, one in chat, is microaggressions. We're not doing that whatsoever. You will be muted and blocked. But please, can we just remember, everyone, Darian is a mod. He does have the right to mute. He does have the right to interrupt. Okay, however, what I'm going to say is there is a lot of interrupting and talking over each other, and I understand that can be the lag and things as well, but it's becoming very, very challenging for those that are using screen readers and such for this to remain accessible and inclusive for all. So can we please just be mindful of that when moving forward with the discussion? That's the only thing I'm up here to highlight as well. If we can just consider that. I know things are going to get heated. I know it's a heightened discussion. Absolutely. But please, can we just be mindful of that, because this is an inclusive space. That's all I'm saying. I appreciate and, big love, Darian, as always. So
I hear you, Kitty. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate you very much. No, all good. Thank you. This is more certainly chat, guess. Please stop interrupting and please be mindful. Darian does have the right, as a mod in this space, to mute or interrupt if there is harmful rhetoric or if there's misinformation. Okay, I'll drop now. Let's just be inclusive where possible. Thanks, loves.
Thank you, Kitty.
Okay, Kayak, so you were asking whether or not SMEX workers would wear the same uniform or clothing as the CEOs.
No, that's not what I was asking. I was saying a SMEX worker on the streets, right? What they would wear to attract men. Is it all right for that same CEO worker wife to wear those clothes to that meeting scenario that I gave to you? That's what I was asking.
I'm going to tell you that there are CEOs' wives who will wear dresses that show off their legs and show off their top part, their breasts, and they will get into those parties and they will not look out of place.
No,
it won't. So what I'm saying, so then What's your point? What point are you trying to make?
Well, I'm talking about what a Smex worker on the street would wear. I'm not talking
Yeah,
about a
and I'm
dress.
telling you that
I'm not talking about a dress that
that
I'm
dress
not
there
talking.
that I'm describing are the short dresses that some of those Smex workers that are standing on the street that you're referring to, which are primitive stereotypes, by the way. They wear the same dresses. They're styled differently and they're used for different purposes. But yes, there are wives of CEOs that will get away with short dresses. Yes. Now what?
That's not answering my question. That because that's
Yes,
not what
I
a
just
Smex
literally just
worker
said.
would. That's
So,
not what
so what is it you think that? What is it? What is it you think Smex workers
Oh,
wear?
he's shouting again.
What is it that you think Smex workers
He's
wear?
shouting again.
What is it?
You know what?
Who's
Do you want me to,
shouting?
do you
Who's
want me to
shouting?
get? Do you want me to get a picture?
What is it you think Smex workers will wear?
What they wear? Is it all right for what they wear for that CEO? I'm asking you that question. Yes, it's just yes or no. It's simple. Then you're talking to me about long dresses. I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Bro, listen, at the end of the day, yeah, in different places there are different uniforms are supposed to wear, right? And if you go to certain places and you're not wearing that uniform, it doesn't mean
You're
it
you're
doesn't mean
stereotyping.
it doesn't mean you're stereotyping. When you go to school, there's a uniform you wear. When you go to work, they tell you to wear certain clothes, bro.
That's a
We
different. That's a
have it
different type
everywhere.
of. That's a
We
different
have
type
it.
of thing.
No, but that's in society. We have it
Okay.
everywhere.
I'm telling you.
There are
You're,
things.
I'm
Wait,
Kate.
so if your boss, if
I'm telling you, you are uneducated on this topic because you're spreading misinformation. They do not know there is a certain type of dress code that people might attract for clients for Smex workers that are working on streets. But the same dresses that they wear can be worn and are worn by the dresses that are done by CEOs. So yes, they can wear the same dresses. Now what? They are not. They are not. The streets and the CEO parties are not the same as being told to wear that they've got to wear a uniform for work. It is not the same thing. You're misguided. And I get it because you don't know enough about this world.
no,
But
you're
you
not
don't.
understanding. You're not understanding what I'm
I
saying.
don't know. I've answered your question.
Just
Move
understand. No, just try to understand. In different
on.
places where you go, that there is a uniform that they would expect you to wear, and if you do not wear it, sometimes you can get sent home. If you
You're
go to work,
specifying.
wait, let me finish.
No. Thank you very much, W. Leanne.
The galaxy.
I did answer the question. I don't know why he refused to move on. I answered the question over and over again. The reality is that in these scenarios, they can wear the same stuff, and they do wear the same stuff, and they get away with it.
Appreciate you coming up as always, Darren.
Love you, buddy. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye. Right. Lots of people to get through. I do apologise for the order. Astro, age and pronouns, please.
23, he, him.
Thank you. Which one do you disagree with?
So I really wanted to go over the men are not the protectors or providers.
Yep.
I say this from a traditional standpoint, and so I want to start off with the question: do you not believe that in today's world that traditional values are held at all?
I think a lot of people try to uphold them, but I don't think that's beneficial. I actually think that's more harmful than helpful.
Really?
Yeah, because those traditional roles were upheld via oppression towards women and girls.
And I can, and I can understand that viewpoint. That's the thing. I'm very open minded. I don't want to come off on here as like, oh, I'm just one sided with my views. But wouldn't you argue that? I mean, in today, generally, and I speak in generalities because I feel like you have to speak generally speaking. Obviously, there's always outliers. There's always people that are very different. Do you think that, generally speaking, do you think that women generally, do you think that they don't expect a traditional man in any shape or form, in this case, protecting and providing?
Yeah, I think a lot of women are moving away from that because they recognize how that's a patriarchal conditioning expectation. Like that ideology is still rooted in oppressing women to hold on to those beliefs. And a lot more women are starting to see that through the effects of patriarchy and not looking for men who supposedly come to claim that that's what they can offer in a relationship. Men are not protectors and providers in society. I'd love for you to tell me ways that men protect in society today on like an everyday basis.
Yeah.
Would you be able to do that?
I mean, I look at it like on a I mean, I'm speaking generally from my perspective. I'm in the West, so I'm not sure if you're in. I'm assuming you're not from your accent, but I don't want to make that assumption.
I'm in the UK, but I'm talking about in general. Like you can talk about wherever you're from, but generally speaking, men, wherever you are in the world, how are men collectively demonstrating that they are protectors?
I mean, it's rooted in, at least from where I'm from, the society. I mean, if you're supposed to be a gentleman, that's a traditional value right there, for example. And then, I'm not trying to get off topic because I understand you're saying protect and provide. I'm focused on both.
Protector.
But like, for example, if something bad were to happen, right? Traditionally speaking, I'm not saying that. I shouldn't say just traditionally,
Actually,
even generally.
You're deflecting. I just want to know how men are like protecting. I just want some examples. If it was that easy and that obvious that men were protectors, we'd be like spitfiring loads and loads of examples here. Like surely, if it was that obvious, and I feel like you're struggling to just.
For example, all right. Here's an example then.
We'll go.
Someone's breaking into your house.
Perfect.
Right?
So you don't even need to say any more. I know exactly what you're going to say, right? You're going to expect the man to go there and deal with it, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, generally speaking.
Cool. So I asked how men are protecting on a daily basis. All right. Touch wood, but I've been alive for 30 plus years. Never had anyone break into my house. I hope that never happens. And there's a lot of other families out there where it's never happened to them. The same family, it doesn't happen to them every day. So these men are not coming home from work or coming home from whatever they're doing and thinking when they sit down on the couch, oh my gosh, I've got to be aware of the door or the window because someone might break in. So again, as I said, on a daily basis, where is it happening? Because that's not an example of something that's happening every day. As in like for a particular individual, like men across the nation are not just sitting there waiting for it to happen, on guard, ready to protect. So the fact that you've given me a hypothetical leads me to say that that's not even an example in itself, but you're struggling to give me anything because that's not an example of men protecting. You would also have to argue that the person breaking in is probably a man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, so then again, that would be men being the perpetrators of harm. Therefore, the only way that men can fulfill the role of being a protector is if men are violent. Otherwise, what are we protecting from?
No, I agree with that statement. Yeah, I agree that it is majority of men. I'm not disregarding that.
That's why I'm saying I got no examples then of how men are protectors. And I'm not saying that there aren't men out there that can protect in moments. So that example you give where someone does break into someone's house and a man does do whatever he can to protect his family, no one's saying he didn't protect his family in that situation. That's great. But that's not a representation of men because there was a man on the other side trying to harm the family in the first place, right? So that's why my point is that the label, you said traditional perspectives. Traditionally, men have always been described as protectors and providers. And I'm saying that that's never actually happened because if it did, then you'd be able to give me loads of reasons of how men are protecting. And there's none.
Okay.
So men individually out there can protect on occasions, so can women. But women never had the luxury of being called protectors. That was a privilege that men got for just being men. They could go on a date with a woman and she could be like, so what do you bring to the table? And he can go, I'm going to protect you. And a woman could be like, oh, wow, okay, that's good to know. Like, that's helpful to have. That's very attractive. Men can just say it. Men can fall on the phrase, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
So again, if you haven't got any other examples, then that's my point, is that they are not and they never were. Same for providing.
Even you, that last part, I agree with everything up to that last part. They never were. You don't think that traditionally, or not, and I'm traditional, it's historically speaking, you don't think that men were ever in that role or had to be in circumstances?
Well, you would probably be going down the route of finances. Is that fair to say?
No. I'm saying in historical preference, like did they ever have to protect? Like it comes from something, you know what I mean? Like I don't think it entirely is oppression. I think that stem to that eventually as we modernize. But if we're speaking historically speaking, I mean, there was a moment in time where that kind of was necessary. You don't think so?
You talk about protecting.
Yes, at least on the protecting part.
Yeah,
The
so
providing
again,
part's different now,
again,
obviously.
from what that wasn't men? Like, where would that ever have been the case? You're going to talk about animals where women also were shown to be hunters and gatherers?
I'm speaking even during war times, even.
But who starts the wars? It's not women. So that's no different to the burglary that's happening, right? One man protecting his family because another man's breaking in, men protecting their country because men are invading or colonizing. Like, it's the same principle. This wouldn't need to happen if men didn't do it in the first place. We shouldn't need to have military, but we do because of men.
Yeah,
So
that's
if
cool.
men are creating the problem, to then claim to be protectors against the problem, but not actually doing anything about the problem, I don't think that really warrants it. It's kind of like me tripping someone up and then after going sorry, and it's like, I said sorry, so it's okay, right? But I still caused the harm in the first place. So, well, I protected you by apologizing because I cared about your feelings in that moment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I caused the issue.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of chain effect. And I'm saying, when we look at the ways that women protect in society, they protect in ways where women are not the cause of the issue. So I would say working with vulnerable people is a form of protection. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
Okay, so we have children in schools, right? We have elderly in care homes. We have mental health practitioners. We have social workers. We have nannies. We have midwives. We have nurses. The majority of those roles are held by women. Those women are not harming the people that they protect to then protect them in those environments. Women aren't out there harming the elderly so that they can go into, care homes for women to then protect them. Whereas when you look at the men, the examples men give is the police force and the military or the firefighters. And it's like, okay, if you're calling the police, majority of the time, statistically, it's because a man's done something. It's definitely not women. If 92% of crimes are committed by men, the likelihood is you're calling because a man has done something. And if you're calling upon the military, it's the same as the point before, right? Which is men are the ones who have started something for men to now react to. So I would argue that if you had to choose, you would have to say women are the protectors. But I'm not doing that because I recognize that both individually, people, whoever you are, can protect in moments. I'm just saying that it's not fair that men have had the label and women didn't get that label. Women were never seen as protectors.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective. I've never thought about it in that view. Like that I see exactly where your argument stemmed from. Then, yeah, no, I understand that part. But I only have one other question that kind of goes into it a little further, because in a way I take this as a perspective, and that is something to understand and think about in a different light. But so we're in the world we're in, though. Like you said, men are unfortunately the aggressors a lot of times. If that's the world we're in and it's not changing, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you think that, like, yeah, we might be solving the problem, but it's not every single person. There is good people out there that are in I mean, like I said, like, you know what I mean? We gotta be protected, like, in some way, in that sense.
But then that just goes down a defeatist mindset of men out there are going to cause harm, so we have to get on with it. And I think that what we have, unfortunately, is we have a lot of men that think that their role as a man is to be a protector. And it's like, imagine men striving towards being something which requires men to cause harm for me to be it. Like that's unbelievable to think that men are out there believing that. It's my role to be a protector. And it's like, yeah, but you can only fulfill that role if men are causing violence. So essentially, you need men to cause harm for you to fulfill your own personal goals as a man. That's a sad narrative.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's an issue, right? So, like, strive to be an educator, strive to be someone who holds people accountable, strive to be someone who works on their emotional intelligence, rather than like, hey, women just want tall men and strong men. And it's like, why are you basing your life around what supposedly women want? Like, live your life for you, respect people around you, and hold people accountable when they're upholding harm. I don't think this idea of like striving towards being something because we can't do anything about it. I don't know. I just think that's quite sad.
Yeah, I mean it is. I don't disagree with that. I just, yeah, maybe my viewpoint's a little more harsh on how society is, but I just rather be safe than sorry, and that's just how I look at it. But I completely understand from where you're saying, because I've never even really thought about it like that. Yeah, you're right. We're it's like causing the problem, but we're also fixing it. So yeah, I get that.
I also wouldn't argue we're fixing it. We're not fixing it by protecting, because if you protect in that moment, that man, it's very unlikely he's going to have that moment where he goes home and goes, you know what, I'm never going to do that again. It's very
Yeah.
unlikely, right? A man burgles into your house, he doesn't get away with it, and he runs away. He's going to try the next house in 2 weeks' time, a different location or whatever. So that protection only goes as far as I protected people around me in that moment, but did it actually, do anything for further? Like, I know you can't measure it, because there might be some men out there that are like, whoa, I nearly got caught, and that could have been, I'm not going to do that again. Very, very rarely would that be the reason that, in my opinion, deters a man from wanting to do something like that again, just because he didn't manage to get away with it one time. We have a lot of men that are repeat offenders, and I'm talking about on bigger scales of behaviors rather than, something like burgling a house or something.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll let someone else get up here. Thank you for instilling
Before
your
you
values
go,
as well. I'll definitely think about that and
but
put
Astro,
that
before you
into
go,
perspective.
like, you mentioned something about like cuck chairs, didn't you? You mentioned about something to do with cuck. So, like, if you
Yeah.
want this, you can have it. All right. If you want the seat, 'cause I remember. Don't worry, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you class yourself as a
It was a
protector
little bit of
coming
rage
into
bait, but
a
yes.
coming
Yeah.
into a live advocating for women's rights and safety? Would you class yourself as a protector by calling that man who's trying to, improve men's lives as well a cuck?
No. It was really more to the whatever the previous guy on here was saying about the whole clothing thing. But I also, after I kind of shut up and listened a little, I was like, okay, I understand the perspective on that. So
Listen,
that's why.
that
Yeah.
side of it's a bit of fun, and I appreciate you saying that at the end. I think that the issue that I have is that in this space, that's exactly what a lot of men do, right? So it's no like direct shade towards you and making an example. It's recognizing so many men come in here with that same mindset, that same belief, and literally, if they just sit and listen for, I don't know, 20 minutes, which for some men is a lot of time, I get it, but like, if they just listen to the conversations or come up and actually be a part of it, they can be productive. Like, there's
Yeah.
been no ad hominems between us. There's been like no rudeness or disrespect. That's literally it, right? And unfortunately, my point again is when we talk about men being protectors, if men really wanted to be, I'm not even going to say protector, but if they wanted to be trying to help, they'd unpack their misogyny, but they would rather hold on to it because it benefits them in this patriarchy. That's the issue
Yeah.
that I have with it, right? Like, it's water off a duck's back to me when they make all these comments, because I see it every day. But ultimately, what happens to women in this space, let alone in the world that we live in, is, especially moderators, women end up getting unaliving threats. Women end up getting SA threats, right? It's the women that end up being harmed, even in a live advocating for change, So it's easier, definitely, for me to sit here and have these conversations, hear the misogyny from men, but a lot of men don't look at the bigger picture. And that's something that we also need to do.
Yeah. I could definitely see that.
All right, Astrid. Appreciate you coming
All
on.
right. Yep.
All righty. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Oh, lovely. Oh, hello, Kitty.
Hi, Kitty42 She-Hard, not related to that, that's for after. Can you please explain why this is live for men only to request stop and the reasons why behind it? And I'm also just demonstrating women do come up on the panel as well.
Yes. So, as we always say, misogyny is a men's issue. It's something that men need to educate men on. It's not down to women for their emotional labor to educate men on how to behave and how to treat women respectfully. Because women have been asking men for far too long, thousands of years, please stop harming us. Please stop oppressing us. And if men are choosing not to listen because they're operating in male privilege, the only way that's going to, not the only way, but I'm saying that the way it should change is that it shouldn't be down to women to then teach men. So this live is dedicated to men unpacking men's misogyny. Yes, as Kitty said, there are women who come up as moderators, as well as Darian earlier, to come up and actually have, contributions to the conversation, whether it's based on personal experiences or education, knowledge, statistics, etc. But that's just what this live has always been about. If that's something that you don't like, that's absolutely fine. If this live isn't for you, that's also absolutely fine. We're never going to police where you go. All we're going to say is that if you're in the chat, please be respectful. And that goes towards the guest as well, in the sense that, yes, it might be triggering what you hear, but ultimately, when ad hominems start coming in, even if you're a friendly, even if you're supporting, you will get muted, because we just don't tolerate that here. It doesn't contribute to the conversation. No different to talking about the way that someone speaks. That's ableist. We mute that. Transphobia, homophobia, racism, muted, blocked. We don't tolerate that here. It's an educational live. We want to keep the space in a way that can be providing that education. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much. And no one's jumping on anyone, just to be mindful. Anyone that comes in this space, and this is the first time in your life, you're very welcome here. We just ask people to be respectful. Don't go making huge assumptions when you're not familiar with the space. If you want to know things, just please ask respectfully. We're more than happy to answer and reply. But coming in with a particular type of energy, big energy, you will get matched with it. Okay? We will be respectful, but if you're not familiar with the live, please just take a few minutes to sit and listen. Please just take some time to get a vibe. Is this live for you? Have a look at the mod reminders. There's plenty of us about. Just ask a question. That was it. Okay? There doesn't need to be the kind of disrespect and the big assumptions. That's all it is. Anyway, that's very kind, JT. Anyway, I'm going to drop now.
Appreciate it.
Because I want to sit in a bin. It's been a lot behind the scenes, my love. It really has.
Goodness me.
Catch you after.
Alrighty, bye.
Bye.
Charlotte, that's fine. That assumption is just completely factual. Honestly, it is. JJ, age and pronouns, please. Fly, age and pronouns, please.
Give me 1 second, baby girl. Can you hold her? I'm sorry. Give me 1 second, sir. I just on TikTok and just take care of Evie. She's a beautiful baby girl. Okay. Yes. Hello?
Oh yeah, age and pronouns, please.
I'm sorry?
Age and pronouns, please.
I am 29. I don't exactly know what pronouns. I'm assuming the way I'm referred to myself. He, him.
Him, she, her, they, them. He, him, yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you. Which prompt do you disagree with?
It depends on what you're referring to by each prompt, because I could see myself disagreeing with all the prompts, or I could see myself agreeing within the same way, in the same letter, all the prompts. Because, for example, I'm going to go down them real quick, and I could discuss any of them that you wish.
Let's do body count.
Okay, so you wish to do body count?
Yeah, let's do body count. I think sure. If you have an issue with a woman's body count, it's rooted in misogyny or insecurity. And I think that gets projected onto body count being the issue, and it's not the issue itself.
So you're coming at it from the fact that body count is, from the male perspective, men care about the body count.
As in men that judge a woman by her body count.
Okay, what about women that judge women by their body counts?
So I'm not saying that that's not relevant. I'm just saying we're focusing on men unpacking misogyny. So men talk, the ways that men perceive women is the focus of it. Double standards we can deal with after, that's fine. But ultimately,
I don't believe that double standards is a good way to approach it, as it is something that we are taught on by our communities and the way that we are raised. For example, a lot of the values, studies have found that a lot of the values, about 90% of the values that an individual holds, come from the parent that is in their home and raises them. More than likely, it's going to be the woman. So then, whether it be, for example,
that's not factual. Don't make up that it's the woman's voice is now more likely to be listened to.
Okay, so what do you believe that? So do you believe that upbringing causes these individuals to hold these misogynistic standards?
We literally live in a patriarchal society. So misogyny is all around us in many different facets.
What do you, I'm sorry, excuse me. We have to take a step back. What do you mean by patriarchal society?
you know what patriarchy is?
No, I have an understanding of what patriarchy is. I want to know what you believe, like what you interpret or are using patriarchy in this instance for. Oh my God, what is that? What the heck is that? What?
It's pretty much a system run by men where men hold the majority of wealth and power. The social
Okay.
status as well.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. If that's your that's the only definition that you hold for what patriarchy is, or is that I'm assuming that's what?
It's a very simplistic definition.
Right.
To then go into
Okay, perfect.
examples of how it's upheld by misogyny would be a much bigger discussion. But I'm trying to,
Sure, no
we're
problem.
just trying to, like, we're going too far off what we need to.
No,
Very
okay, so
simple.
I'll quickly run it back. If that's your definition of the, or that's the definition of of patriarchy that we're going to be using, then yes, I agree with it. Then we are living in a patriarchal society. You believe that this patriarchal society is implementing or pushing men to have a negative view amongst with body counts on women. I don't see how there's a connection there if one has patriarchy is focused on the fact that men have all the power or all the money and make these decisions, and then the other one is the social factor where men have an opinion regarding body count of women.
Men are generally listened to more than women. Men respect men more than they do women. So we've always lived in a society where men have pretty much dictated how it should be run. So women being conditioned under that patriarchal system to listen to men means that the things men say are going to carry more weight. So again, if we come back to the reasons why body count is a misogynistic concept, when you go to purity culture was when women were told that the best chances of you finding a husband was if you're as close to the virgin as possible, right? These were during times when women had no choice but to find a husband to depend on because of things like finances, when women couldn't work, for a certain lifestyle. That same standard and expectation was not upheld towards men as well. If men wanted to have schmecks, they could. But if a woman had schmecks, she would be seen as less valuable based on...
Sorry, schmecks?
I'm TikTok for any language.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not used to this. This is like a...
So I'm saying that is an example of how body count has always been against women, but not men.
Okay, so it's an unrealistic standard, unkept standard that is implemented upon women and not upon men. Okay, but all right, in order to actually focus on this and me to address this point of yours, I have to take a bit of a step back because you're saying that because of this patriarchal implementation or standard that has been throughout time, then it has been kept pushed forward to now a new age that it has made it unfair for women to still be under these shackles, right? I don't believe that is necessarily the case because there's a lot of factors that when it comes to this specific body count, when an individual, for example, let's say a man or a woman has many partners, one begins to become desensitized as they gain experience. And this is not necessarily because I'm not talking about specifically a sexual act. What do you mean that?
What you just
how
said
is that not a fact?
It's not a fact that women become desensitized to...
I never said it was women. I said people, men and women, because it's...
Again, they don't. But again, we're talking about the ways that men view women. So I know you keep on trying to make it about both, but the disproportionate harm from one side to the other is very much outweighing the other. So we are focusing on the way that men view women who have a high body count, right? That's actually what it is. So when you talk about the idea of desensitizing, no, it doesn't. There are women out there that have high body counts who are perfectly able to connect with individuals.
So do you just disagree with the fact that pair bonding is a thing?
Pair bonding is not a thing. There's not a thing between humans.
What are you talking about? Pair bonding is a thing among many animals, specifically primates.
Studies that have been done on pair bonding was on swans and voles, not humans.
I understand that, but the fact is that
humans don't pair bond. There's no evidence or science that suggests they do. There's nothing out there.
That is simply untrue.
Go find it.
Pair bonding goes more along the ways of more beyond the sexual factor. An individual focuses on
the evidence. Like genuinely, any evidence out there, please, because no one has ever been able to find any of that here. And if you're going to go online, fine, who's left? No, JJ, pair bonding is not a real thing. It was a study done on swans and voles. So no, goodness me. Noah, age and pronouns, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, age and pronouns, please.
18, he, him.
Thank you. Which prompt do you disagree with?
On the all men until no men problem specifically,
Yeah.
I think it's a bit too general, more so than not.
Okay.
I just think like saying all men is a bit almost vague. Like yes, 100%, 98% of like crimes, or I think it's 94%, are men in prison and stuff like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's all men
Yeah, that's not what it
and
means.
every single person.
All men until no men doesn't mean that.
Oh, could you specify what it means, Perth?
Yeah, so women's biggest form of oppression is gender-based violence. So women being wary and cautious of all men is completely understandable. All right?
Yeah.
So we have to recognize as well the way in which men uphold the same phrase. So did you say 18 or 19?
18.
Okay, do you think there are, and this might be yourself as well, so I'm just asking, but do you think there are 18-year-old men out there who would have an issue with their partner going clubbing without them?
Yeah, there certainly would be.
Okay, can you give me like maybe 2 reasons or 3 reasons as to why they would have an issue with that?
I think some people might have a insecurity or a worry about it, almost my girlfriend's going out and there is a chance something would happen.
Perfect.
I
Okay,
would never agree with that though, because like you should trust them.
Yeah, no, but I agree with you that those are the reasons men would give, right? That they think their partner might cheat or they think that they might experience some kind of harm.
Yeah.
Okay, do you think that if those women said to their partners, I'm going to an all-women's club, those men would feel a little bit more comfortable with that?
Yeah, I certainly think they would.
Okay, so essentially what they're saying is, when men are around my partner, I feel more uncomfortable. Fair enough, right? So let's say she goes to that club where there's men there. Her boyfriend knows that not every man at that club is going to uphold harm, and not every man at that club is going to approach her.
Yeah.
Also, just to double check, your profile somewhere says that you might be 17. Are you 17 or 18?
No, that's from my friend's old profile. Wait a second. Give me a moment.
I just need to confirm that's what it says at 09.
Yeah, I can show you my ID if you need me to.
No, that's fine. I'm going to take your word for it because you said it, but obviously it says on your profile, 09. So, So again, right? Men in this situation know that not every man at that club is going to harm their partner, and not every man at that club is going to approach their partner.
Yes.
Okay? So technically, they're saying the same thing. They're saying, until no men are harming, would I feel comfortable with my partner being around men?
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to assume that every man there could be a potential threat. I'm not saying they are dangerous, but I'm saying I'm going to assume that they could be. That's why I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's the same thing.
Okay.
Right? They can't identify which men will or won't harm, so therefore they're just going to say the same to all, which is you're all a potential threat. Because men know how men behave.
Yeah, I think you could look at it in that way. You could also look at it in the other way, that the reason men are, or certain men might be scared of, not scared, more so worried of the fact that, like, if it was my girlfriend, I'd be completely fine because I do the same. Like, I would go to a club with some of my friends. So I would give them almost the same respect. I think you can choose, for example, if you as a man or even woman didn't go to the club, but then you said to your partner, because I don't, and that's not my style of living, I would rather you didn't. And if they said, oh, I will, I would say it wouldn't necessarily be an awful thing to then go, okay, that's not the style of life I would like to be with, and then almost respectfully end it at a certain degree.
Okay, so that's just talking about not wanting to be with someone who goes clubbing, though. That's not.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, a different point. I think sorry. When I read All Men Until No Men, I think I read it differently. So you made sense in that point.
But another example, if I may. So let's say that you're out on the street and you're walking down the road, and a woman walks towards you. Right? You both need to like walk past each other, and there's no one else around. Maybe it's late at night and it's quiet. Who, on average, is going to feel more uncomfortable, you or her?
Most likely to be her.
Okay, let's substitute yourself now with like a, I don't know, 30-year-old man, random 30-year-old man, and he's in that situation walking towards her and she's walking towards him. On average, who's likely to feel more uncomfortable, him or her?
Wait, so 30-year-old man and then just a woman on the other side?
Yep.
Oh,
What's
yeah,
on the
again. Oh, on the same side, yeah, again, the woman.
Okay, so what we can recognize is, again, in this situation, we've used the hypothetical where we used you because you are part of all men, and we use someone random who we don't know who is also part of all men.
Yeah.
But feelings are still the same.
Yeah.
Because you're all men. So again, it's recognizing because you are men, that's what the fear is. That's what's being triggered. The discomfort of possible harm, not that you are dangerous. So the reason why we include you in that hypothetical is you could do the same with me. And that's why it's trying to encourage men to realize that it's not accusing you of being a dangerous person, but it's including you in this conversation of all men because we are part of those scenarios where women might feel uncomfortable in our presence, not because of who we are personally, but because of how men behave, and we are men.
Yeah.
So if we're ever going to have an issue with all men and so no men, we have to look at the men that are behaving in a certain way that leads women to feel that way about men.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with you on that point. Completely. Almost one of my friends made this point to me like a week back, and it was on like a similar topic, and it was the same, all men until no men.
Yep.
And it made a point of like what was it? 1 second. Like that shouldn't be like that, as in, I get your point of all men until no men. It shouldn't be, obviously it's going to be in the woman's mind of I'm worried. They shouldn't have that. And I think that's your point of it should be like, no, they shouldn't have to worry about that because there is no chance of it happening.
Yeah, women aren't choosing to be worried about men. They are, just because like that's what men are doing in society at the moment. The disproportionate harm, and it's getting worse. So last hypothetical, and then I'll come to a close on it. But
no worries.
Say you and I are standing in a room with 98 other men, right? There's 100 of us. And a woman walks in and someone says to her, just to let you know, 10 of these men are dangerous. Which ones are they? Right? She's not going to know. And you and I look at each other and be like, we're okay. But then I don't even know. You don't even know like about each other, right? So it would be fair for her to be wary and cautious of all the men in that room because she doesn't know which ones are the dangerous ones. She's not saying every man in here is dangerous, but she's saying, I can't tell. So I'm not going to take the risk of feeling comfortable around one of them when you're all men. Doesn't matter, right? Like men aren't presenting themselves as a particular way whereby there is a consistent theme of men that are causing harm. It's men. That's how, the statistics are measured, gender on gender.
Yeah.
So we have to recognize that men is inclusive of all demographics, which is why we're not then being oppressive to a marginalized community, because all men are included together. That's why that's why the statement of it is understandable, because you're not secluding anyone. You're not focusing on a demographic. You are focusing on men because the statistics back up that men are the ones doing that.
I agree. I think it's, to be fair, I completely agree with your point. I can't even say anything about it.
Appreciate it, Noah. Thanks for being respectful.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right, 9 o'clock. That's all we've got time for today. I do appreciate that there's 8 people in the requests. However, I will be live again tomorrow at the same time, 7:30 p.m. UK time. If you haven't already, please do drop a follow on the other platform that I can't mention on here, just because of the way that you get, policed on those things. But all of these lives do get uploaded. So if you have missed out on any lives and you want to catch up, Ida has put the link in the chat there. Thank you so much. You can go and watch all the other lives that I've done if you have missed them. Okay. People in the chat right now are posting the username that you can go and find. There will potentially be a live tomorrow afternoon. We'll have to confirm. But there will definitely be one in